Okay, so here we're going to adjust the air brakes. It's a pretty simple thing to do. You want to release your parking brake. So you want to make sure your Palazzo is on level ground with the wheels chalked so it will not roll. You want to do 3 stabs of the brake pedal with firm pressure. The automatic slack adjusters should do their job and adjust the brakes as needed. And when you get done, you engage your parking brake and you should be good to go. And here is right rear slack adjuster. And as you can tell, it is covered in grease. That's good. You want to make sure your slack adjusters are thoroughly greased. And right here what you see is I am manually pulling out on the brake on the actual slack adjuster from the brake air chamber, and there should be no more than about an inch to an inch and a half. I'd even say just an inch of travel in the push rod there. If you have more than an inch of travel, you could have some serious problems with your brakes, and the slack adjusters are not doing their job. Here are your brake shoes, and this is the amount of material that I still have left on a Palazzo with 15,000 miles. This is the rear, I believe this is the right rear brake shoe, and if you'll notice, there's only a small very small gap between the actual drum and the brake shoe, and that's exactly what you want to see. There should be just a very small gap there. If there's more than a very small gap, then you could have issues with that particular brake. And again, I believe this is on the driver's side or left side brake shoe. Plenty of material. So here on this is the front right uh, slack adjuster, and I am once again testing the throw or the length of how far I have to pull out on the rod before the brakes engage. And again, you do not want to see more than 1 inch to maybe ½ inch. I think actually, if you are a DOT, if you have a DOT inspection on a tractor trailer, if you have more than 2 inches of travel, they will put you out of service because there are serious problems with your brakes. And again, as you can tell here, there's plenty of brake material. Brake shoes look good, drums look good, and there's just a very small gap between the actual brake shoe material and the drum, and this is exactly what you want to see. And I think here with the light, it's really hard to get in there, but you can see there's just very, very small gap there, and that's exactly what you want to see. You don't want to see anything any larger than that. And here is the front passenger side slack adjuster. And again, you notice it's well greased, and there's a grease fitting. And I'm just showing you some other grease fittings here. There's the lower grease fitting for the spindle, the upper grease fitting. There's grease fittings all over. There is the grease fitting for the tie rod end, and more grease fittings. And I believe I'm over to the driver's side slack adjuster, and again, it's well greased. Everything looks good. grease fittings, and that right there is the ABS wire that is going into behind the brake mechanism there. And again, there's more grease fittings, and then the entire steering linkage has grease fittings on every single pivot point. So you want to make sure these are well greased. And this is general overview of the front end, the suspension, and then I'm panning back around, and you can see all the air systems, all the wire, you can see all the air system, air lines, and kind of panning around to the bottom of the generator. That is the access port for your fuel filter as well as your oil filter. There's the drain plug in the middle. Over here during in the exhaust, there's a spark arrestor plug way up in the top there that you have to remove the soot from the muffler. And then as we pan around, we finally come around to the air cleaner. Kind of looking back around, general overview, and that's about it.